Hello, friends. We are still in the octave of Easter. What that means is for 8 days, from Sunday, Easter Sunday, until Divine Mercy Sunday, the church celebrates Easter over and over again, as if it is one day. The number 8 is used to denote completeness. So we're still in the celebration of Easter, and then the Easter season continues until Pentecost. So I thought today we would focus on the resurrection because we celebrate that Jesus is risen. He is truly risen. So I'd like to start with the gospel from St. Mark in chapter 16. It's the beginning of chapter 16, and it chronicles the account of the resurrection of Jesus. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. Very early, when the sun had risen on the first day of the week, they came to the tomb. And they said to one another, "Who will roll back the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb?" When they looked up, they saw that the stone had been rolled back. It was very large. On entering the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a white robe, and they were utterly amazed. He said to them, "Do not be amazed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, the crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Behold the place where they laid him. But go and tell his disciples and Peter, he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him, as he told you." Then they went out and fled the tomb, seized with trembling and bewilderment. They said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. The Gospel of the Lord. There is a story of a first grade teacher who was preparing the Passion Play for Easter. And she went around to all of her students and she asked them what role would they like to play in the Passion Play. What role would they like to be in the Passion Play? Now you can imagine probably several of them wanted to be Jesus, and I'm not sure who wanted to be a Roman soldier. But one little boy spoke up and he said to the teacher that he wanted to be the stone in front of the tomb. The teacher was really surprised at that because that was not one of the characters on her list. And she said, well, "You want to be the stone. Why would you want to be the stone?" And his answer was very simple and beautiful. He said, "I want to be the stone so that I can let Jesus out of the tomb." Now, think about that for a second. He wants to be the stone to let Jesus out of the tomb. You know, we often see images, and there's a very famous painting of Jesus at the door of a house, and there is no handle on the outside of the door. There's only a handle on the inside of the door. And the message behind that painting is that Jesus can't come in to us, to our hearts, unless we let him in. So we have the handle on the inside, and we have to open the door to let Jesus in. But I was thinking about this little boy, and I remember back when I was in grade school, and the nuns would teach us and would say all the time that we are temples of the Holy Spirit, and Jesus dwells within us. And that principle, that basic Catholic teaching, is in several documents. It's well documented, well established that God dwells in us. And when does that begin? It begins with the sacrament of baptism. Through baptism, God enters into our soul in the form of the Holy Spirit, and it changes our soul. It places an indelible mark on our soul that can never be erased. It's called a character sacrament. there's two other character sacraments: confirmation, which completes what begins at baptism, and then holy orders for a deacon or a priest. Those three sacraments imprint the Holy Spirit onto the soul of the person. So, what does that mean? It means that Jesus already lives within us. Yes, we can let him into our hearts, but he's already there. So I think what this little boy was getting at is the problem is not so much letting Jesus in, rather than letting him out. What does that mean? It means letting others see Jesus in us. Others can experience Jesus when they look at us and when they see how we act and how we behave in the world. Because Jesus is already dwelling in us. He's there from the first moment of our baptism, and he never leaves. Our hearts can have a stone in front of them, like the tomb, if we're not living according to our faith, if we're not living a life of love. And that keeps Jesus locked inside. So what this little boy is talking about is taking away that stone, taking away whatever is blocking Jesus from coming out so that others may see him. So as we continue to go through these difficult times in our society, let's maybe think of this. Let's spread Jesus instead of spreading the virus. There's a little prayer that I say every morning, and it kind of sums this whole talk in a line or two. It's this. It's simply this. Jesus, when others look at me, let them see you. And when I look at others, let me see you also. Jesus dwells within us. He is in our hearts. It's up to us whether we keep that stone across our hearts or whether we, in the spirit of Easter, in the spirit of the resurrection, remove the stone from our hearts and let Jesus come out. Let the world see Christ through us. May God bless you, and I look forward to being with you again.